Hello everyone. Well, today I want to share an experience that I had about greed and revenge. So, I was a teenage when this happened, like 13 years old maybe, and I started to hang out with a girl called also Susanna. My name is Susanna. And she was the sister of a colleague that I had in my first class, in my first grade in school. And we started to hang out, and she was really popular between the guys and stuff like that, and I didn't realize why. Then I realized she was popular because she had sex with them. She did, the sexual. She met their sexual needs, And but at the time that I was hanging out with her, I only saw the good side of it. I was really innocent in that sense. And then there was this time where she started to bring me to a church, which wasn't the Catholic church, was like another church called Philadelphia, and that is a Christian one, but it's not Catholic. So I started to go there. And then there was the cult during the day. It was a cult also during the night on Mondays, which were only for the youngest people. And I started to realize there was a guy there that was really cute, and I started to have a crush on. I didn't say it immediately to her. There passed some days, and then when we went to that cult, that was only at night with the youngest. I told her that I had a crush on him. So she decided to. We went to the movie to see the movie at cinema that night. And she decided to start to flirt with him and start to really make out with him. And I started to be in front of me, just in front of me. And it was really, really... I was really, really sad, but really, really angry and with that. And I started to become really sad and really, and I didn't have the courage to stand up for myself and just go there and expose the situation. And then the people around me, when we got back from the movie, back to the church. They started to ask me, what's going wrong with you? You don't look really nice. And I said, she started to make out with him, and I already told her tonight, and I told her tonight that I had a crush on him, and I thought she was my friend, but she is not. And we tried. While I was saying this, I was crying. I was just really crying. And then they really got upset as I was also, and started to pick on her. And she was like, "No, I didn't know anything about it. If I did, I wouldn't make up with him, whatever." She was lying in front of everyone, and I was like, so with my heart full of anger, I promised myself that one day I would get revenge. I would wait for the right moment, but I will. I said to myself, I will get revenge of this. And I did. Well, then after some years, I then slowly went apart from her, and I started to make another friends. And then some years after, there was a guy she was used to date that I thought it was cute, but it was much older than me. And then we started to talk, whatever. He was a bus driver in the company that was providing for that area. And I had the chance to make out with him, like we had sex. And the sex was awful. I mean, awful, like it came really early. It didn't care about how I was feeling, that if I had an orgasm or if I didn't. It was really like one of the worst men I've ever had sex with. And at that time, and even the time when I was hanging with Susanna, I was really depressed. I didn't like myself. I hated myself. My life for me wasn't important. I didn't feel good with life. I was angry at me. I was angry with the fact that I didn't have a father beside me. I was angry with the fact that my mother had these huge anger attacks and hated me and called me names and broke things in house. And my grandmother was always criticizing everything I did, everything I said. And I was really not okay with all of this, and so I don't care. I just do whatever I want. I do whatever I please. I don't give a fuck. But I was operating in a space of anger and resentment. So after that, that guy tried to have sex with me again, and his name is Luis. And I said, I don't want to have sex with you anymore. He was trying again and again, and I said, no, I don't. And then there was this time when I was really pissed off, and he started to send me messages and call me, and I said, I don't want to have sex with you. I don't want to see you anymore. And he was like, oh, why? What are you? Well, you were one of the worst men that I have had sex with. And I'm not interested in having sex with you no more. I was really rough when I said I have consciousness now. But it was what he needed to hear. And I stopped to call me and stopped to talk to me also. So, in fact, I was dating him just because I was jealous of Susanna, because she had more popularity than I had. And it's not a good reason, but that's why I had an involvement with them. And it wasn't... I said, what the fuck? Is she getting involved for this? Is she having sex for this? Like, this is the worst. Well, anyways, I didn't do it again for that reason, but I still had my revenge to do, so I did it. Years later, I met her again, but she was she had a stable relationship with a man, and she was living in their mother-in-law house with him. And And I started to go hang out with them. I started to make friendship with them, and so on and so on. It was really cool, and I was really smart. She is not as smart as he is, and she was. The more time we spent, the more time he enjoyed my company. I did enjoy his company also, and then we became friends. I was the only one that he allowed to go to his house regularly, so he really liked me. And then one day, out of nowhere, we started to make out, make out. Sorry. And he asked me like, but aren't you friends with Susanna? And it's just like we are betraying her and stuff like that. And I said, I told him the story that she did back then when we were in the church. And I said my loyalty to her just finished in the time that she did that to me. Okay. It was okay with it, so I told him why I was doing that. So, yeah. So we started to make out in privately, with no one seeing. And then we never got caught, never. But then they went to other city to live them by themselves, like him and her and their son. Then I started to get really uncomfortable to be, sneaking around and having, flirtings and making out with him. We only had sex once, like really sex with penetration and stuff, because the other times were just, kisses and touchings and stuff like that. So, after that, I started to really get uncomfortable because of their son. I really love their son, and I really cherish their son, and I felt bad for it. I just felt bad for knowing that I was kind of destroying his relationship with her, and it could be affecting him. That it wasn't his fault. So I stepped out of the relationship, and I started to not go there. Then years after, I had news again from her, because she went to our city where we met in Lisbon, and then she started to say that him had broken up with her and betrayed her for another woman that was black, like me, and it was from Angola, and also she was really rich. And I said, I'm sorry for you, whatever, and inside of me I was like, yes, you deserve it. But I was sorry for the kids also. Then the situation passed, and then she started to date another man, and that man was not really good for the kids. It was too demanding. It was not good. He was really possessive of her, and I just felt it at the time that she would be her worst nightmare, like really hitting on her and stuff like that. He didn't at the time, but he wanted to marry really quick, and I felt that. I don't know, I didn't hang out with her for much longer. just to know that thing. Then, years later, I met, I encountered with, in 2019, I think, while I was going through this huge tower moment in my life. And I left my grandmother's house for the first time. And when I realized that she was a witch, and I broke my mother's spell, and I was living by my own for the first time with no resources, financial resources. I found I was crossing the street where I was living, and I found his mother and father. So they invited me to go to his home. He was still married with the woman of Angola, but he wasn't living with her. He didn't adapt to Angola, and he wanted to go back to Portugal, so he went. So he was living there with his parents, but he was and his wife were alone. So there, when I walked in and I saw some pictures of a woman that were really, really similar to me. Her face was really look like me. And I was like, oh, who is this woman? Oh, it's his wife. And I was like, what? Really? Yes, it is his wife. And I was like, oh my God, she's just like me. It's just the features of her face is exactly like me. And I was in shock. I was truly in shock. Because when Susanna had told me that he betrayed her and went to live with another woman, she told me that she was exactly like me. So my revenge went far much more of what I thought, because in fact he was in love with me. He never told me, but he was in love with me, and that's why he tried to find someone like me that looked like me. And then at that time when I was hanging there, and we talked, and he remembered what I liked. He remembered what my aspirations were, and I was like, yeah, this he really loves me. But somehow it didn't felt like he could tell me or whatever. I don't know. And they had a child also, and he wasn't happy. And then I found out that Susanna had did some magic work on him, because he found needles and things in the bed and things like that, because of the black magic she did. And I realized that's why he was having this social panic, because he told me the story why he started to be social panicking, and it was after he started to date with Susanna, and also it was something that was just one moment. It started, and then it kept. So she made a loving tie with him, and because he was really, outgoing, and he had this job, he had this independence, and then when she did a loving tie, he didn't want to get out of the house, he was afraid to leave the house. That was really, really serious. He lost his capacity to make money, and yeah. And then the thing went to years and years, and at the time when I found him again, he was still with people phobia. And I realized my revenge went too much far. And I regret it only for their child, but I realized it was necessary for my own growth and for their own growth. And but still, it's not the way. I don't recommend you to do that. Don't. I didn't say this in the previous video in Portuguese, but I will say if you see this and you are Portuguese as well, but sometimes you need to use your strategy and your evil side to establish some justice in your life. It is necessary, but one thing is to use your discernment to protect yourself from evil people. Understand, it's really different to protect yourself from evil people. When people are trying to tear you down, when people are trying to make you go wrong or make you lose something, and you have to step in and be evil, and you have to really lie if it is needed. You have to get a strategy to turn the situation around. That's one thing. But if you do get revenge, it's different. If you do get revenge, you will also be creating bad karma for you. And believe me, you will pay for that karma really heavily. So be aware. Think twice before you get revenge. And think twice before you read something that is not meant for you. I read a man that was the worst. Like, I regret it so much. And it wasn't necessary. It just wasn't necessary, and it was not meant for me. So think about it. Okay? Love you all.